Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm going to start off with just a few administrative announcements. So the event is being recorded. You may have seen that message come up when you came on. So please mute your microphones when you are not speaking. Please turn on your video and have a full name showing so our presenters can see their audience. The rules of engagement for the panel program will be explained as we get a little bit closer to that part of the event. And then help facilitate connections by providing your name and point of contact information in the public chat channel. Also include what you offer or seek from the Purple Connection community. The chat will be saved before the end of the meeting, and it will be cleaned up of any superfluous conversations and then shared to all attendees in an email tomorrow. All individuals who have registered for the event, whether they are here or not, will receive a link in a future email to the recorded program. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started with the program. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Emma Toops. I'm the executive chair for American Warriors and the facilitator for the Purple Connection. This event is hosted and sponsored by Toops Consulting. Where'd the slides go? Did I miss that? Okay, David and I are connectors, coaches, and consultants in Toops Consulting, and we thank you all for being here. Welcome especially to those for whom this is your first Purple Connection event. For our new attendees, thank the person who invited you as they felt that you might benefit or contribute by being a part of this community. To our regulars, it's good to see you again. Where are the slides? I don't see them. David, are the slides up? All right. Okay, here is the event agenda. This is the welcome. I will then do an introduction to American Warriors and the Purple Connection. I'll introduce the educational networking program, which then will be followed by a Q&A and transition tips. I'll share how to get involved with the American Warriors and then start wrapping up the program. All right, next slide. First, an introduction to American Warriors and the Purple Connection. American Warriors is a special interest group of the ACA Business Club, which is a private club with the philosophy that business flows out of relationships. So people do business with those they know, like, and trust. Thus, members are committed to creating solid connections by learning and practicing the fundamentals of strategic networking and relationship building. American Warriors are club members who have an affinity with or support those who serve our country with in the military or public service. The mission statement for American Warriors is to provide educational and networking opportunities for patriotic citizens who are leaders in business and supports a transition into private and public sector business for active duty military and first responders. The Purple Connection is one vehicle for American Warriors to fulfill its mission. So the challenges of transitioning from the military is a very well-researched problem. It's evident by the multitude of military support nonprofits and community organizations that provide services to address them. Driving Community Impact was a white paper published in April of 2015 by Syracuse University, their Institute for Veterans and Military Families. And after several years of research and thousands of surveys, they determined that the leading gap in services was not that there were a lack of services and support, but there was a lack of connectedness of the services and support. Very often, transitioning military feel a loss of purpose. They may feel isolated or misunderstood or feel overwhelmed for their need of help, or they lack affinity to the people and culture of their new environment. So how do you solve this problem? You create a partnership of stakeholders who have a common goal for supporting American warriors. The Purple Connection is a community of partnered stakeholders with a common focus of service, support, and care so that we can effectively address the challenges of transition. Next slide. So what's up with the name? So there's actually two reasons for it. In government jargon, the color for joint is purple. When our military is operating overseas on a deployment, that environment is comprised of a multitude of seemingly disparate entities with varying purposes, but they have a common purpose through the operation that unites and focuses their effort. TPC is an attempt to replicate this type of joint environment to support the American warrior in transition. Another reason for the name is that when you combine the colors of red and blue, you get purple. In the Purple Connection, we are facilitating the connection of individuals who identify more closely to either the military community or the military support and business community, and when they come together, it's a Purple Connection. Here are the vision and mission of the Purple Connection. We create awareness to enable access and then empower action through collaboration and encouragement to expedite reintegration, support growth and healing, and enable opportunities. We do this by regularly bringing together community experts and facilitating connections through educational networking. Here are the rules of engagement for our panel program and networking. Each participant will have 8 minutes to deliver their remarks. I will be using a timer. The time can be stopped short and given back for Q&A specific to that individual panelist or used up entirely by the panelist. However, when the timer does go off, please wrap up and we'll move on to the next presenter. Once each panelist has spoken, we'll have 15 minutes for a Q&A with the Purple Connection community. If you're uncomfortable with public speaking or you want to remain anonymous with your question, you can put your question in the private or public chat channel and I will ask it for you. Questions are not limited to the topic of the day, but take advantage of the expertise available from our panelists this month. Please be succinct in your questions and direct them to a specific panelist or to the community if it's a more general transition question. If you have a complicated question, you may ask it to discover if there's a subject matter expert in the audience, but if a response would take longer than 2 minutes to address it, I would recommend that follow-up be done after the event. After the Q&A, I will provide transition tips, which is an educational segment for paradigm or process shifts, or maybe a recommendation to resources that apply to the topic of the day, which is logistics management. After the presentations, if you have not already shared in the public chat, do so with your point of contact information and how you serve or need support from the community. The chat will be saved and all attendees will get a cleaned up copy in a future email so that you can follow up with each other as you like. I will do event announcements and then start wrapping up the event. All right, so the first person in our panel program is going to be our veteran entrepreneur. Dave Vodarick is the president and COO of BV Contracting Solutions. He's an Army retiree and also owns a couple other businesses. He'll share part of his story behind becoming an entrepreneur and information about his business. All right, Dave, I see you, and I am getting the timer started.
Okay.
You have 8 minutes.
Okay, so Dave Vodarick retired out of Fort Leavenworth in November of 2016. Immediately went to work in the construction operations side of the house for a mechanical contractor here in Kansas City, LBA Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing, where I ended up managing all their commercial construction operations and ended up also managing all their commercial service, both HVAC and plumbing, and the residential plumbers. Was there for about 4 years until I had reached the culmination point and decided I was actually only 3 days away from interviewing with Amazon when my buddy and I decided to start another company. So we went for drinks out at East 40 Brewing in Blue Springs and finalized the deal with our wives that night. And I put my notice in the next day and in the middle of the pandemic, we started a new company. So with the purpose being, we knew we wanted to serve a niche of customers that was missing as far as service and coordinating of contractors. So I'd already had a couple other small businesses that Emma had alluded to. We do self-service ice machines, and we also do sticker machines in elementary schools. We're heavy into vending because I wanted something I could run on the side while I was starting my new career. But what those side hustles allowed me was to get a better feel for business. And I think that's the one thing that most military folks that are coming out don't understand. They don't understand balancing a P&L. They don't understand selling. And having a good idea of that stuff not only makes you a better employee, but it also strengthens your ability to be an entrepreneur when you strike out on your own full time. So we started out with BV Strategic Solutions and then narrowed it down to BV Contracting Solutions. We thought we were going to do more business consulting, but honestly, we followed where our customers wanted us. So we thought maintenance would be the smallest part of our business, and it's actually turned into our biggest. So we've now gone full time into property and facilities maintenance for commercial properties and for property management companies. We don't work for individuals, and we handle everything from general maintenance, handyman work, all the way up to specialty contractor coordination. In the 2 years since we've been in business, we've managed to land a big customer. So we take care of Yard House, their locations, Eddie V's down on the plaza, Melting Pot, and a few other big commercial customers here in town. And that strictly came through networking, trust, and referrals from folks that we know. So when people talk about that, it's true. It's all in, it's who you know and how you keep them trusting you is how you're going to build your business. So we've gone from working out of his basement we moved out his basement in March of 2021. We moved into a one-room office in March, and then in August we moved to our current location, which is a small 5-office complex out here in Blue Springs. We now have ourselves and 4 full-time employees. We're bringing a general manager on right now because we're also in the process of expanding into Dallas, Fort Worth, using my old roommate from when I was a lieutenant who's retired down that way. So once again, networking coming into play there. But the key is that you don't undersell yourself and follow what your customers are looking for. So we will never turn a customer down. If they ask us to find a way to do something for them, we will go find a way to do it. And that's what allowed us to grow so quickly and effectively is, so from when we started to now, we will hit over $1 million in gross revenue this year. And we've considered that pretty amazing starting out in his basement during the middle of the pandemic. So from a logistics standpoint, we focus on project and program management. We're very heavily dependent on the logistics supply chain, as you can tell. So it's all about balancing customer needs, customer expectations, and what we can get when. And obviously higher costs of materials and the extended lead time can be a significant issue, but it's all about balancing that. And that's where I think where the critical thinking skills, the ability to interact with others that we gained in the military come into play significantly, because we're able to balance those. We're able to put processes together and sell to the customer why this should work for them. And if we can't get them the initial way, what are we going to do to correct that and find a workaround for them? So the other piece is the ability to manage folks, obviously critical. I'm balancing about 54 subcontractors right now, plus our office employees. So it gets pretty hectic at times, which is one of the reasons why we're bringing in some additional leadership. But there's no reason why anyone who's come through what we have can't manage the same amount of workload and folks out there get the work done. So really, just focusing, my recommendation to everyone is just focus on what your customer need is. If you can identify what the customer needs, they will pay you for it. And they're willing to pay you more if you can take care of their problem points for them. So we are not the cheapest one out there, but we're also not the most expensive. But we had one of our property management company owners tell us the other day, he literally sends us anything that he can't figure out. And that's really because we will find a way to accomplish whatever needs to get done. I'm also going to do a shameless plug, Emma, for Bunker Labs. So Tom Meyer, who's on here with me, we are in the process of kicking off Bunker Labs here in Kansas City, which is a veteran entrepreneurship program that can help take you to the next level and is nationally connected. So if you're interested in exploring some of that, I'm open to fielding questions, or anyone wants to reach out to me. I can help with that too. That's all I have.
Okay, very good. There are 2 minutes left in your 8 minute of remarks. Does anybody have a quick question for Dave? Anything specific? I have one.
Okay.
So in your background in the military, were you in kind of the realm of supply chain or logistics that then kind of translated into this work?
No, I was an air defense officer. I'd spent plenty of time in operational units and supporting other units. So, I mean, I was used to going into non-standard environments and figuring out and problem solving that. But in reality, the same basic concepts that we do in the military are what runs business out here. So there's nothing special about it. It's all about just staying focused on your customer and making sure that you keep your books balanced. We all like to say that we controlled a budget of $10 million, but in reality, we just spent $10 million. So for me, like when I started that first company, in order to justify training, I had to go make the money to do it. And that's the one thing I think that folks need to remember when they transition out is back in the military, if we needed more money, we could always go ask for more money. But the question is, what are you doing to earn that money now? Whether it's your own company or you're working for someone else, I always try to keep that in mind. And you'll be more successful if you look at the company not as this big company that's there to feed you, but how do you as an employee feed that company? Because in reality, if the company's not successful, then the employees aren't. So.
All right, very good. We are inside of a minute for your time remaining, so we will move on to the next presenter. Thank you, Dave. All right. So the next presenter is representing a community organization. Katherine Mahoney is the Vice President of Workforce Development for Goodwill of Western Missouri and Eastern Kansas. She'll share information about Goodwill and maybe some opportunities for career or involvement with the organization. Katherine, you are
all right. Great. All right, thanks. Hello, everyone. This is Katherine. I work here at our Goodwill team. I am a part of a military family myself. My dad was in the Air Force for 20 years and we moved all around, including Germany. So definitely have been a part of our military family experience with that. But my role here at Goodwill is supporting job seekers specifically. So many people know about Goodwill from the perspective of the retail thrift operation that we have, which certainly is a huge component of the work that we do. But my role is more specifically around our mission services team, in which we are offering no-cost training opportunities for people that are either entering or re-entering into the workforce in different capacities. Some of that work includes us offering short-term credential training programs. So if people are looking to do something new, a different industry that they've never been in before, we have a series of training opportunities, some in person and some online, that people can access for free. Some of that includes some partnerships that we have right now with IBM and Google and even Facebook to do short-term credential certifications in things like project management, data analytics, UX design, IT support, cybersecurity. And then we also have some in-person training that is just more focused on certain industries, including technology and manufacturing. And so these are all avenues in which people can, utilize these free resources through Goodwill to launch into a new career opportunity. And so day to day, that's a lot of the work that we do is just interacting with people that are, looking to build up their skills or utilize the existing skills to find ways to transfer them into different occupations. But in addition to that, I'm also here with my colleague Tori for us to talk a little bit about our Goodwill operation. As you might know, because donations are coming in through our Goodwill stores, we also have a quite large recycling and logistics operation that's going on behind the scenes to move all of these products around, identify commodities companies that we would be trying to sell products onto to keep everything that we can that's been donated to us to either be sold or recycled. And so that way we're keeping everything out of the landfill that comes into contact with our organization. And so Goodwills are all across the United States, but the Goodwill that we work at is here based out of the Kansas City, Missouri area, but encompasses an 82 county region, of which we have 15 retail stores, an outlet store, as well as our large recycling center. And so we do some recycling of textiles, glass, plastics, other products, and then we also do some computer recycling as well. And so with that, I might turn it over briefly to my colleague, Tori. He is a veteran and also works on our HR and recruiting team, and he can talk a little bit about the types of positions that we have internally within Goodwill.
Thanks, Katherine. How you doing? I'm Tori Crawford. I'm a retired Army vet, retired November 2016. Funny to say, I was logistics. I worked in logistics, but that's not what I'm doing now. One of the primary things that I see with veterans is translating their skills. So when I retired in 2016, I went straight into logistics, working for the Department of Defense. I worked there for about 2 years when I realized that, I was trying to get away from the military environment. So I went seeking other opportunities. The hardest part for me was translating my skills to the civilian world. So when applying for jobs, I looked for everything but logistics, not knowing that Goodwill had a logistics program. And I was actually contacted by Goodwill, and they looked at my resume and they called me about the recruitment aspect, not even thinking as a veteran skill. All I thought is, I worked logistics for 18 years. That's what I could be doing. And I contacted about my recruitment time, and it helped me come in and help other veterans.
You got muted, Tori.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. I'm good.
There you go. Good.
Okay. So it was, working with Goodwill, and now being able to help veterans translate their skills into the civilian workforce. Some of the primary things I see is, we have technical skills, management skills, organizational skills, and these are skills that are highly wanted in the civilian world. Here at Goodwill, we have procurement manager positions. We have inventory control specialists. And if I had known these things when I was coming out of the military, these are probably some of the things that I probably would have applied for because I have the skill set. So at Goodwill, we do assist veterans with translating their military skills over to the civilian workforce, and in any other aspects of transitioning out of the military, because I know firsthand how difficult it can be.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you. You got about 2 more minutes, Katherine, if you wanted to resume your remarks, or were you opening it up for maybe a specific question for you?
Yeah, certainly open if there is any questions.
All right. I have one. I always have questions. Anybody have a question for Katherine?
Hello, this is Raymond. Good afternoon. More so will be for the panelists and not only for Goodwill. If there's a opportunity like boot camps or skill bridge opportunity for active duty personnel or veterans, that would be great information to share as well. But that's all I have.
So, Katherine, are you able to talk shortly about the partnership, I think, that we have for veterans?
Yes, so I was mentioning a couple of these online resources that we currently have access to, but one of them through Goodwill Industries International is online access to the Coursera platform, of which there are over 8,800 free courses for veterans specifically, veterans and their family members. So I'd be happy as a follow-up after today, and I'll follow up with you, Emma, just all of the different varieties of the different courses that I had mentioned through IBM, Google, and then also through the Coursera platform, if there is anyone from this group or from the larger connection that you have, we'd be happy to share that information. All of this is free for anyone interested.
Okay, that's good. I think a lot of people, have maybe a general just assumption as far as what Goodwill has to offer as a nonprofit or community organization. And, access to training resources like this is probably not inherent in people's understanding of what Goodwill has to offer. So certainly, thank you. All right, very good. And we will, whoops, timer just went off. All right, so the next presenter we have is representing a military-friendly company. Ed Cartwright is an operations manager with Amazon Logistics and is an Army retiree. He'll offer some insight on his current work and how military experience can be effectively applied for opportunities within Amazon. Ed, you're up.
Hey, good afternoon, good evening for some of you, depending on what time of the day that you wake up and go to sleep. Emma, I hope you got your timer on because I have a tendency to ramble. My name is Ed Cartwright. I retired out of Fort Leavenworth. I spent 24 years in the Army. Prior to that, I was in the United States Marine Corps for 3 years before I switched over. Logistics is not my background. I was in law enforcement for 24 years. Everyone knows Amazon, right? So when I ask myself, or you ask yourself, why Amazon? So when I first met Emma 2 years ago, seems like it was yesterday, but it was 2 years ago. The first question she asked me was, "What's next?" And I didn't know. There was a huge fear of unknown. Coming up in the military, we have a very structured lifestyle. They tell us when to move. We know when training is. We know when to get up. We know when to eat. We know when to do physical exercise. And, getting out of the military, transitioning out of the military, whether you're retiring or whether you're transitioning, it is a very difficult task because you don't know what's next, So why Amazon? For 24 years, the Army instilled core values. Amazon was the only company, and I interviewed with a lot of companies. Amazon was the only company that aligned their value systems and their beliefs off what I was used to for 24 years. The military as a whole gives you something that no other organization out there has. That is leadership abilities. At some point, at some time in the military, regardless of what rank you are when you transition, you are in a leadership position. You had some type of formal or informal leadership training. In 2021, Amazon hired 40,000 veterans. 40,000 veterans. When I first got on, they welcomed me in as a part of their family, a part of their team. I go to work every day, stress-free. It's hard work. Don't get me wrong. It's hard work. It is shift work. It's hard work, but every day is a good day. I've never worked, even in my 24 years in the service, worked with a group of individuals that put a smile on my face when I got to work and when I left work. I absolutely, truly enjoy it. They don't just preach their principles, they actually embody it every day. And that is something that is few and far between in a lot of civilian organizations. Not taking anything away from the other two organizations that spoke today. But the common theme there is you have something that civilian organizations want. You have that instilled leadership ability to go out there. The question is how do you translate that? I think Tori said it. And Dave, how do I translate what I've learned into what I'm doing? I had no idea anything about logistics. Yeah, I've moved troops back and forth across the world, but I had people and I had a staff that did that for me. Now I'm having to do that myself. And it has been a great opportunity. I learned something new every day. I didn't think that was going to happen, but I truly love the organization. I intend to stay with them as long as they'll have me. If you get an opportunity, continue to buy Amazon because you're paying me, right? The more products you buy, the more money I'm getting in my pocket. I really appreciate that. But if you see what I have on, this is what I wear to work every day. It's comfortable. It's laid back. It's a great group of people. I really cannot, when you go to work every day, you should love it, right? If you don't love it, why go to work? You spent however long you spent in the military, whether it's one day, whether it's 20 years, right? You deserve to do something that you love every day. It shouldn't be a dead end job. It should be something that you want to do and something that you get up for. That's all I have, Emma.
All right. Well, you have over 3 minutes left. So if you can, tell us a little bit about what is kind of operations manager at Amazon Logistics about. I mean, what are you doing as far as the actual work, the technical application of self and abilities?
When you think, so Amazon started their logistics program about 5 years ago. I mean, we all know that they've been in the package, department since the early 90s. They're one of the largest companies and fast growing companies in the United States, and they're getting bigger and bigger every day. Their big, huge initiative that's pushing off right now is the climate initiative to have everything climate free by 2040, 10 years ahead of the Paris agreement. As an operations manager, I manage one of their delivery warehouses. We're what they call the last mile, right? You have the first mile, the middle mile, and the last mile. First mile, just to put it into perspective, is you order in that package and it go into a fulfillment center. Middle mile is those long hauls, getting on the road and transferring it to us, a delivery station. I manage about 350 individuals, two managers on my shift that runs a warehouse that processes, as of today, this is our 1 year anniversary. Over the last year, we processed over 10 million packages through our warehouse and delivered 10 million smiles to customers out in the Kansas City area. The best way to describe it is you monitor the inbound flow of packages into the building and the distributing to our customers. You work hand in hand with third-party contractors that are our delivery drivers, ensuring that our sole focus is the customer. Now, I know everybody has good and has bad experiences with whether it be Amazon, whether it be UPS, whether it be FedEx. But at the end of the day, from the time that the package arrives to our building, we treat every single package as if it's our own so that it gets delivered in a timely manner. And that's what I love about the company is one package, you should see if one package gets missed or if somebody doesn't get their package that day or they need it in a timely manner, you should really see a company come together and do whatever it takes to get it from point A to point B in a timely manner. It is amazing what they do for their customers.
All right. Thank you for describing that. People probably have their own ideas and assumptions as far as what it means to work for Amazon. But thank you. Thank you for that. All right. We will then move on.
I do have a question, Emma.
Okay. Well, we're moving into the Q&A period. So just hold on for that. We're going to get to the opportunity for people to ask questions to the community as well as to our 3 panel presenters. All right, very good. So go ahead and ask your question now. I'm going to start the timer for the 15-minute Q&A period.
I appreciate that, Emma. First of all, Ed, thank you for your service, and I appreciate your insight as far as the culture and the sense of belonging. I think, at least personally, right, as a transition service member, that's one of the biggest fears I possibly have is going to an organization that don't have a sense of belonging, a cultural shock per se. And I really appreciate that insight. It really helps to kind of narrow it down to the places that I want to work. And definitely money is not one of the biggest top of my priority. It's more into the culture, have a sense of belonging and purpose. So I really appreciate those key points. To my question, and this is for everybody, panelists, right? I want to move forward into related to logistics, right? I have advanced degrees on project management as well, logistic management. But is there any certifications that might set myself, because I know the marketplace is very competitive right now. Any certifications or credentials other than my military experience that can set me apart from my competitions or peers? That's my question.
I will tell you, just from a self-development piece, if you can get involved in the Lean Sigma 6 program, a lot of companies, a lot of civilian companies, when it comes to a leadership piece, especially just understanding business as a whole, and if you already have certificates in logistics and project management, then you should be able to fly through the Lean Sigma 6 program. But just having that certificate of green belt under your belt, it really sets you apart from your peers in the hiring process. It is offered free through Hiring Our Heroes. If you are affiliated with them, you have 1 year to complete it. So it's a self-paced course. You can walk out of the Hiring for Heroes program with a green belt in Lean Sigma 6. It not only will help you with leadership skills and what most companies kind of look at, but a lot of these Fortune 500 companies base their leadership models off that program.
All right, very good. Nathan has his hand up. Do you have a question for a particular panelist or for the community?
Hey, thank you, Emma. It's for the whole panel. So it's a very open-ended question too. So on the topic of logistic management, right? I think whether it's Office Talk, news, or a variety of sources, it seems some of the talk, at least lately, is that the supply chain issues, right? Whether it's in the United States or in the world, right, for a variety of reasons. So with that in mind, my question to the panel is, from a logistics perspective for each of your business entities, do you see that having a direct impact in terms of, the growing, I guess, jobs or market within your entities for logistics management roles? Do you see it shrinking? Do you see it increasing or decreasing your profit margins to then have those opportunities? I'm just curious if you guys are seeing from your perspective out there in the business world, is there a direct impact, or will there continue to be a direct impact with logistics and supply chain issues with job opportunities and opportunities within logistics in your businesses?
From the construction standpoint, it's wreaking havoc. I mean, I talked to someone, so we do work for Raising Cane's, and I talked to one of their construction managers, and they were trying to put another 140 locations in 2022 and 2023, and the roofing material that's standardized across all of their buildings wasn't going to be available till June of next year. So they immediately had to go back to the engineering team and try to find a suitable replacement for that. That would be not just a suitable replacement, but a suitable replacement that would be available in order to allow them that. So, prime example, I'm doing an electrical meter change out on a apartment building in Kansas City, Missouri, and we bid the project in March, and I'm still waiting for the 5-meter bank to arrive because the materials to build that 5-meter bank that I need for a commercial entity weren't available for 2 months. And the customer's frustrated, and I'm frustrated, and my electrician's frustrated. But it's all about having that conversation. And those jobs aren't going away. For those of you that haven't heard, Kansas City Southern Railroad was, I believe, if it hasn't already gone through, is getting purchased by a Canadian railway. Their plan right now is to bypass the West Coast ports. They're going to they're going to sail ships into Vancouver and port down to Mexico and rail directly to Kansas City. So if you look at, just drive around and see how many warehouses are currently built. I've built a significant number of them over the years. Those are only going to increase because they're talking about shipping millions of containers a year into Kansas City to bypass the West Coast gridlock. So the logistics management piece in Kansas City is only going to continue to grow. More and more companies are bringing their distribution centers here because you can be anywhere in the country in 2 days by truck. We've got a pretty good sized airport here that allows cargo capabilities. And for those of you that aren't familiar, the intermodal facility in Gardner, when they seal those containers in Mexico, they don't get opened at the border. They come directly to the intermodal facility and never get touched again. So the heartland is wide open for logistics careers at this point.
Yeah, Dave is 100% spot on. I mean, if you look at us, I mean, we've opened 5 buildings in the last year. We're opening up another building in Leavenworth, and this year to come, another building in Liberty in this next year. He is 100% spot on. The Midwest, Kansas City is the hub for logistics in America right now. We ranked number 4th least expensive city and cost of living in the United States on that last list that just came out. And logistic companies are coming here because we are centrally located, and it is easy for them to move their product from factory to consumer.
Very good. That's awesome information. Thank you for that question, Nathan. Do you have another question? Your hand's still up. Okay. We have a question from Antoinette.
Hello, and thank you all for your insight. I'm coming from the perspective of hiring. And so I know you talked about culture and value, the company's values aligning with yours. I know you had mentioned that, Ed. What about the company did initially attract you to see that there was alignment there between that this would be a veteran-friendly place and this would be a place that would create a sense of belonging? And that's for everybody on the panel.
So with anything, word of mouth. I had a buddy that worked for Amazon. He was a retired sergeant major like me. He was like, "Hey, I know you're getting out. Why don't you come give this thing a try?" I was kind of skeptical at first. Really didn't know where I want to go. Me and Emma had long conversations about that, back and forth. I want to do this. No, I want to do this. And finally, she made me decide and make up my mind and come up with a plan. But I had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to do an internship. I applied for an internship with them just to kind of like test the waters. And then that internship, it gave me insight. It gave me insight to about what the company was really about. And, even though I was there as an intern for 4 months before I wound up receiving an offer letter from them, there wasn't a single day. I mean, I called her all the time. We talked every week, and I was like, there wasn't a single day that these individuals, total strangers, like mind blowing. Like I never walked into an organization. I mean, for those of us who've been in the military, you walk into your organization for the first time and you're kind of like, I don't know what to do. Do with my hands, do I put them in my pocket, whatever. But from the moment that I walked into the door, from the first time, the very first person I met, they put their arm around me and they said, "Hey, you're part of the family." And they treated me like that every day.
Very good. So I would say that, working with Ed, I mean, as a career transition coach, part of the challenge is kind of being decisive versus vague in general as far as what you might pursue. And it is a lot of talking with people and just kind of getting insight from people who are already in that space. So I'll say that the internship opportunities, the skill bridge programs that are available, the various mentoring opportunities that are available in the veteran support communities, those are all really advantageous as far as, if you are yet undecided, you don't really know yet where you want to, pursue an opportunity, you don't know what you don't know. And so talking to people who've been there, who have values and similar capabilities as you, just getting their feedback of, what's it like where you are. and then, availing yourself to the information as much as you can in preparation. Thank you, Ed. Who else has got a question? All right, I have a question for Katherine. All right, so you gave us a little bit of a window as far as understanding more about what Goodwill has to offer. Because, it was something to where I was like, okay, it's a nonprofit organization, donations of things that we no longer need. But you mentioned something about recycling and distribution of certain donations to who and what needs, that material. So is that work done by paid employees of the organization? Is it done by volunteers? Is there kind of opportunities for both depending on the area of support or the material that is, the material being sorted and recycled and or distributed? But if you could kind of explain a little bit about what the opportunities are there for involvement, either for a volunteer or for an actual career opportunity.
Great, thank you for that. I would say that the majority of the work being done performed within our recycling operation is with paid staff, although we certainly do welcome volunteers. So if anyone is just even curious to see the behind the scenes of what all is going on within the recycling effort, I would definitely encourage you to come check it out. That location for us is off of Front Street in Corrington. There's a lot of other facilities out in that area, but so in essence, we have a multi-phase process of how we are selling the donations that are coming into our organization. Some of which items get sold online through our Shop Goodwill e-commerce platform. But the majority of goods still coming through our traditional brick and mortar in-person shopping experience. So everything that is not sold in stores, all of that kind of gets funneled to our recycling operation. So some of the coordination of our transportation team is just picking up from each store location everything that we kind of utilize these cardboard gaylords that then get on pallets, and we then move the product to and from locations in that way. So our one last effort before moving over into the recycling is that we do have an outlet store location where things are sold by the pound. If you're looking for an interesting shopping experience, come check it out. Everything kind of that you're interested in purchasing gets put into a shopping cart. The cart gets rolled onto a scale, subtract the weight of the cart, and it's yours, $1.37 per pound of whatever you found: clothes, shoes, toaster ovens, whatever, couches that are sold for like $5 a piece. Some of them not in bad shape.
Very good.
But nonetheless, as all of that kind of gets, through our funnels of, traditional sales to consumers, all of that then gets funneled into the back of our retail operation there, or the recycling operation. And so at that point, we're really separating things out based on type of product. So is it a textile? Is it plastic, glass? Or things that we cannot recycle. And so we have balers and other machines that are in the back there that are kind of putting things into some sort of easy mechanism for transportation. And then from that point on, we have a team there on site that is then working with different commodities companies to then sell items by the pound based on the type of textile or wares, plastic, glass, whatever it is that we could be doing as like sometimes just like pennies on the pound, things that we would be looking to sell, or just anything we can do to keep stuff out of the landfill. And sometimes we also have, specialized projects where we're like donating those types of items on to other organizations. There's been sometimes like animal shelters that are just looking for like old towels and other, those kinds of things that don't necessarily need to be in perfect condition, but are still things that they don't have to be paying for out of pocket that we would gift on to other organizations.
Okay.
Like that.
All right. Very good. Thank you so much for that information. We did have an anonymous question, and this one we kind of don't have time to address unless someone has something specific to say about it, but it had to do with the COVID-19 vaccination policies and whether or not that's affecting recruiting and or your organizational operations. If there's anybody who has something to say about that. COVID policy and how that might be affecting operations or recruiting?
It's not affecting us whatsoever. I mean, obviously we work close knit with inside a warehouse. So we have that human interaction on a daily basis. We do follow CDC guidelines, and there are sometimes, depending on whether or not we become a hot spot in the Kansas City area, that we may have to mask back up. Self-reported. It is self-reporting, so if you want to report, you can report. You don't have to. If you want to wear a mask, you can wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, you don't have to.
Okay, so basically it is not a detrimental effect as far as a overarching type of everybody's doing exactly the same thing. It is to each individual's prerogative at this point.
Currently in our current state in the COVID-19 realm of, we're on variant Zulu now.
Okay.
But
right,
yeah,
right.
So, I mean, it really is dependent on where we're at with in the Kansas City area as far as what's hot and what's not.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, we have come to the end of our Q&A period. So we'll move on to the transition tips. Thank you everyone who had a question and contributed to that segment of the program. All right, so Toops Consulting LLC is focused on supporting students and adults in life skill, career, or business transitions. However, in this segment of the program, I'm not going to talk about our business, but provide transition tips pertaining to the topic of the day, which is logistics management. So I'm going to offer some insights and perspective regarding paradigm shifts regarding logistics management. David, can you bring that slide back up for a second? There's a couple pictures in here that I want everyone to kind of just take a look at while I say these first couple lines. So the first thing to recognize is that in the military context, logistics is something that refers to military occupational specialties that generically focus on skills and capabilities, systems and processes for transportation, maintenance, and classes of supply. But that general term of logistician, it's understood within the military community. However, in the corporate business context of business supply chain, logistics is just a small segment in that overall big picture. You can see that in the red circle. Okay, thank you, David, for showing that to all of us. Now, many transitioning military with logistical occupational specialties may often mistakenly market their experience or expertise as supply chain, but not being entirely accurate, because as you saw in that picture, logistics is just one link within the overall supply chain. Okay, so logistics in the business context is right of center of the overall process, and it resides in operations and customer service. So some of what Ed had talked to as far as the business that he's in, and even with what Dave was talking about as far as facility management, is right of center as far as the overall supply chain process. So various segments of the supply chain where most military logisticians do not have functional expertise or experience are the strategic data analysis or decision-making for potentially process improvement, program or material cost or risk mitigation, market or economic trends, spheres of influence for product development or procurement, or full understanding of the business development and contract negotiations processes. So those within the military environment who do have this kind of experience are often very high up in the organization. They're often working in a joint environment that includes industry, program, and product professionals. They're working with contract officers and contract winning companies, government civilians, and people who are managing different pots of money. So recognize that if you are a military logistician, kind of where are you in this overall scheme? Okay. These decisions that affect the military's supply chain, they're done at the strategic level. Most people who are logisticians in the military are operating at the tactical, operational level of organization, and they don't have influence to the products that you order. It comes up in a menu of supplies available for whatever it is that you need in your organization in order to order them, but you don't have really influence in what those things are that pop up on that drop list. Okay, the cost or quality of the products that you are ordering, you just get what you get based on what is in that list, or the various systems or processes that affect the entire system, the supply system. In the non-military environment, your level of influence on the entire process is directly related to the size and scope of your organization. So a small business like Dave's business may have the entirety of the supply chain managed by an individual or a handful of individuals. However, a big business like Amazon has entire teams or maybe even departments of people who manage varying segments of the supply chain. Now, past experience doesn't necessarily translate one-for-one for opportunities, and there's often a steep learning curve for the culture, language, behaviors, or other routines of the business environment. And Ed actually mentioned it in that his 24 years of military experience were not in logistics. He was in, military police. So adapting your experience, skills, and capabilities for similar requirements, and then quickly learning what is new and can be done with your focus and intentionality is how you can integrate into an entirely new environment. So his current work this is Ed's current work in the logistical segment of Amazon is in managing operations. He had plenty of experience in military operations, managing that. So that's where some of that experience translated. He did mention as far as some intern and fellowship opportunities in order to be able to skill bridge that gap. And certainly informational interviews are invaluable for decreasing learning curves. David, bring up the slide just one more time. And I want to just point out another thing that is a paradigm shift that I want to make. Logisticians in our military, we have these classes of supply that pertain to various kind of areas of material. All right. These classes of supply are very military centric. There kind of is no common understanding inherent to these classes of supply in corporate America. For example, class 1 is all about food, rations, and water. Class 3 is about fuel, oil, and lubricants. Class 4 and 5 may not even translate well because those are kind of military focused as far as barrier material and fortification and or bullets. So recognize that there's a whole different world of language and opportunities when it comes to marketing what your value and experience is to a non-military environment opportunity. Okay, go ahead and you can take that down. Thank you, David. So recognize, are you communicating your value or career objectives accurately? You may need to learn a little bit as far as how to be able to do that specifically. That whole translatable experience and skill for things that may or may not be what you have always done in your career. What work do you want to contribute? Not just the work that you've done in the past. Kind of impact or influence do you want to have? And is the company going to value that experience that you have and give you opportunities to grow and learn, like has been afforded to Ed at Amazon? So the Purple Connection is a community of organizations and business professionals who want to and can help expedite gaining knowledge and access to resources and opportunities, to be cognizant of some of these gaps that you may have in your knowledge and or behaviors, and seek out the appropriate experts to help you. All right, so those are the transition tips for today. we will move on to the next part of our program. I'll start wrapping this up. Okay, if you're interested in participating more intentionally in facilitated conversations on various transition topics, I invite you to consider becoming an American Warrior of the ACA Business Club. Becoming an American Warrior affords you with many benefits. So you have access to any of the club's facilities, whether they are here in Kansas City, where we have 5 facilities, club locations, or anywhere in the country where we have a club. There's access to over 20 interest groups based on your interests and career or personal interest. American Warriors is only one of over 20 interest groups. You have the option to join a business development team, and you have access to all the club sponsored and organized events, whether they're virtual or in person. You'll have access to the club directory for every member of the club, wherever they happen to be. And there are live and virtual networking learning opportunities every single week that you can take advantage of in order to prove your own personal or professional knowledge. There's also leadership opportunities based on whether you want to step up to a team, group, or club locations opportunities. So take a look at that. Contact me if you're interested to learn a little bit more about the benefits of being part of the club. The Purple Connection and Strengths Profile workshops are opportunities for engagement for American Warriors. And there is the American Warriors Discussion Roundtable, which is a monthly event that I facilitate. And then semi-annually, there is American Warriors Social and Guest Speaker Program and leadership opportunities with both the American Warriors Executive Committee and club communities, or committees, I'm sorry. All right, next slide. For future events, next month, I'm sorry, not next month, next week is the American Warriors Discussion Group. So the topic of the day for May 26th is high performance teams. It's kind of like a mastermind for everybody who attends to just provide perspective and insight on what do these words mean. Those words mean different things to different people based on where they are in their headspace of transition and the environment that is routine for them. The Intro to Strengths Profile workshop is now on demand. So if you're in an organization or company that might want to learn a little bit more about the Strengths Profile assessment, you can contact me and I can do that workshop on demand, in person or via Zoom, in order to help people better understand their strengths and or be able to better utilize the talent that is on your team. The Purple Connection is the monthly event that you are attending right now. Third Thursday of every month, 4:30 to 5:30 on Zoom. TPC referrals is an opportunity to intentionally connect with me or up to 3 other members of the TPC community. These are going to occur on Tuesday and Wednesday, June 7th and 8th. And basically what this is a very short time period where you can sign up for an appointment. There's 2 rounds of engagement as far as when people talk, but it is an opportunity to learn a little bit more about members of the community and ask for something or provide information as far as what it is you have to offer and support. The second round is to actually respond to the asks of support and just refer folks and or provide guidance or information to help improve understanding. Next slide. Okay, so next month, the Purple Connection program is going to be on community advocacy. It's going to be June 16th. Our veteran entrepreneur is Tom Williams, who is an author and writer. His company is All Wet Publishing. Our community organization representative is Santos Arellano, I can't say his name, Arellano, who is a constituent service manager for a congressman. He'll be talking a little bit about what services are available to support constituents. Our military-friendly company representative is Caleb Gilmore, who's the owner of Innovation Hub, and I will be providing the transition tips. Contact me if there are any questions whatsoever as far as opportunities to connect in future opportunities of learning, networking, and whether that military support community resource is here in Kansas City where I am, or maybe something that can be accessed virtually through a website or online or in other locations around the country, contact us and let me know how we may be able to facilitate a connection for you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Follow up with each other as you need, and hopefully we will see you at a future event. Thank you.
Thank you.